Have you ever felt different from other kids? Like you don't quite fit in with everyone else? Maybe you think differently, feel things more deeply, or care about things that other people your age don't seem to notice. Here's something amazing. Being different isn't a mistake. When God creates someone for a special purpose, He often marks them from the very beginning of their life. Even before you could walk or talk, God was already shaping you to be exactly who He needs you to be. These differences aren't problems to fix. They're actually clues that God has chosen you for something important. Just like a baker adds special ingredients to make a cake taste unique, God adds special qualities to people He's calling for His work. Let's look at 8 signs that show God might have chosen you from the very beginning. Sign 1. You've always felt different from other kids. From the time you were very small, you probably noticed that you weren't exactly like the other children around you. While other kids were happy playing the same games everyone else played, you might have wanted to do something different. Maybe you preferred sitting quietly and thinking while others ran around. Or perhaps you asked questions that made adults stop and think, questions that seemed too big for someone so young. This feeling of being different often starts so early that you can't even remember a time when you felt like you completely fit in with everyone else. This difference isn't because something is wrong with you. When God chooses someone for a special job, He makes them see the world in a unique way. You might notice things others miss, care about things others ignore, or understand things that confuse your friends. Other kids might think certain things are cool, but those same things might bore you or even bother you. You're not being difficult or strange. You're just wired differently because God has different plans for you than He has for other people. Think of it like this. If God needs someone to paint a beautiful picture, He gives them eyes that see colors more clearly than others. If He needs someone to help hurting people, He gives them a heart that feels others' pain more deeply. Your difference is actually God's design. Sign 2. You've always been more sensitive than others. Ever since you were a baby, you probably felt things more strongly than the people around you. When someone was sad, you felt sad too, even if that person was a stranger. When you saw something unfair happen, it bothered you way more than it seemed to bother your friends. You might cry more easily, get your feelings hurt more quickly, or feel worried about things that don't seem to bother other kids. People might have told you that you're too sensitive or that you need to toughen up. But this sensitivity isn't weakness. It's actually one of the biggest signs that God chose you for something special. God gives extra sensitivity to people He plans to use to help others. If you can feel what others feel, you can understand them better and know how to help them. Your tears over things that seem small to others show that you have a heart like God's heart, a heart that cares deeply about people and about right and wrong. Yes, being sensitive can hurt sometimes. You might feel pain that others don't feel. But this same sensitivity also lets you experience joy, beauty, and love more deeply than most people ever will. It's like having a superpower that helps you connect with people who are hurting and bring them comfort. God doesn't make mistakes when He creates people. If He made you sensitive, it's because the world needs someone with a tender heart like yours. Sign 3. You've had unusual struggles since childhood. Looking back at your life, you might notice that you've faced harder things than many kids your age. Maybe you dealt with sickness that other kids didn't have. Maybe you experienced loss or sadness early in life. Maybe you struggled with fears or worries that seemed bigger than what your friends dealt with. It might seem unfair that you had to go through difficult things while other kids had easier lives. But here's what's important to understand. When God chooses someone for an important job, He often prepares them through challenges. These struggles aren't punishments, they're training. Think about how a muscle gets stronger. It doesn't get strong by resting all the time. It gets strong by being used and challenged. Your struggles have made you stronger, wiser, and braver than you would have been without them. They've taught you things that kids with easier lives haven't learned yet. You know what it feels like to hurt, so you can help others who are hurting. You know what it's like to be afraid, so you can comfort people who are scared. You know what it's like to need help, so you understand how to help people who need you. Every hard thing you've been through has added something important to who you are. God has been building your character and your strength since you were very young, because He knows you'll need these qualities for the special work He's planned for you. Sign 4. You've always been drawn to spiritual things. Even when you were very little, you probably felt interested in God, prayer, church, or spiritual matters in a way that seemed unusual for your age. While other kids got bored during church or didn't think much about God during the week, you found yourself actually wanting to know more. You might have asked deep questions about God, heaven, why people suffer, or how prayer works. Maybe you felt something special during worship music that you couldn't quite explain. Or perhaps you just had this feeling that God was real and close to you, even when you were too young to put it into words. This natural pull towards spiritual things is one of the clearest signs that God marked you as His from the beginning. Most kids have to be taught to care about God, but you were born with this hunger already inside you. It's like God put a homing signal in your heart that keeps pointing you back to Him. Even if you went through times when you tried to ignore God or walk away, that pull was always there, gently tugging you back. This isn't something you created in yourself. It's something God planted in you before you were born. He gave you a spirit that recognizes Him and wants to be close to Him. People who are chosen for God's special work always have this spiritual sensitivity built into them from the start. It's God's way of making sure that no matter what happens in your life, you'll always find your way back to Him and to the purpose He has for you. Sign 5. People have always noticed something special about you. Throughout your life, people have probably made comments about you being special, different, or unusual in some way. Maybe teachers said you were mature for your age. Maybe family members said you had an old soul. Maybe strangers felt comfortable telling you their problems, even when you were young. People might have said they saw something in your eyes or felt something different about you, even if they couldn't explain exactly what they meant. These weren't just nice compliments. People were actually sensing the mark of God's choice on your life. When God selects someone for His purposes, He puts a kind of spiritual light on them that others can see, even if they don't understand what they're seeing. It's like you're wearing an invisible crown that shows up to people's spirits even when their eyes can't see it. Some people are drawn to this light and want to be around you. Other people might feel threatened by it and treat you badly for no clear reason. Both reactions are signs that there's something genuinely different about you. The way people respond to you, both positively and negatively, often has less to do with what you've done and more to do with what God has placed on you. Those people who noticed something special weren't imagining it. They were seeing the fingerprints of God on your life, the evidence that He touched you and marked you as His own before you ever took your first step. Sign 6. You've always had strong convictions about right and wrong. From a very young age, you probably had a strong sense of what was right and what was wrong. When you saw someone being treated unfairly, it made you angry or upset. When you saw people doing wrong things, you felt bothered by it, even if everyone else seemed okay with it. You might have stood up for other kids who were being bullied, even when it wasn't the popular thing to do. Or you might have refused to participate in things that felt wrong to you, even when your friends were doing those things. Sometimes this got you in trouble or made you unpopular, but you just couldn't ignore that voice inside you that said, "This isn't right." This strong moral compass is a major sign that God chose you for His work. God gives His chosen people a built-in sense of justice and righteousness that works like a compass, always pointing toward what's good and true. While other kids could easily go along with whatever everyone else was doing, you felt that pull toward what was right, even when it cost you something. This isn't because you were judgmental or trying to be better than others. It's because God put His own values deep inside your heart. You're wired to care about the things He cares about: fairness, kindness, truth, and protecting people who can't protect themselves. This quality will be incredibly important for whatever God is calling you to do. People who change the world for good are always people who couldn't just sit quietly when they saw something wrong. Your strong sense of right and wrong has been preparing you since childhood to stand up for what matters. Sign 7. You've had dreams or thoughts that felt bigger than normal. Throughout your life, you've probably had dreams, ideas, or thoughts that felt too big for someone your age. Maybe you imagined yourself doing important things or helping lots of people. Maybe you had ideas about how to make the world better or fix problems you saw around you. These weren't just daydreams or silly fantasies. They felt real and important, like maybe they were actually possible. Sometimes these big thoughts scared you because they seemed impossible for someone like you. Other times they excited you and made you feel alive and purposeful. These big dreams and unusual thoughts are actually God showing you glimpses of what He's planned for your future. It's like He's letting you peek through a window at where He's taking you. God plants these visions in the hearts of people He's chosen, so they'll start preparing themselves, even without fully realizing what they're preparing for. Those ideas that seem too big, they're probably exactly the right size for what God wants to do through you. Those dreams that seem impossible. With God, nothing is impossible, and He wouldn't give you these dreams if He didn't plan to help you achieve them. Don't dismiss these thoughts as childish imagination or silly wishes. Pay attention to them. Think about them. The fact that these big ideas keep coming back to you year after year is a sign that they're not random. They're messages from God about your calling and purpose. Sign 8. You've always felt like you were waiting for something. For as long as you can remember, you've probably had this feeling deep inside that you're waiting for something. It's hard to explain, but it's like you know that your real life, The life you're supposed to be living hasn't fully started yet. You feel like you're in a waiting room, preparing for something big, even though you might not know exactly what that something is. This feeling might make you restless sometimes, like you're supposed to be doing more than you're currently doing. It might make regular, everyday life feel a bit boring or unsatisfying, because you know there's something bigger waiting for you. This sense of waiting for your true purpose to begin is one of the strongest signs that God chose you before you were born. He put this holy restlessness inside you to keep you from settling for less than what He has planned. It's like He gave you an internal alarm clock that keeps reminding you, there's more. Keep getting ready. Your time is coming. This waiting period isn't wasted time, it's preparation time. God is using every experience, every lesson, every hard moment, and every victory to get you ready for what's ahead. The fact that you feel like you're waiting means you're aware that you have a destiny. Many people go through their whole lives without ever feeling this pull toward purpose. But you felt it since you were young, and that's because God marked you as chosen from the very beginning. Your waiting will end at exactly the right time, and when it does, you'll understand why everything happened the way it did. Trust the process. Your preparation is almost complete, and your purpose is closer than you think.